internet, so today I'm going to be doing my August book haul. Now I have been having some trouble with book buying these past few months, as in I've been doing way too much of it. And I was quite proud of how I was doing in August until my favorite bookstore closed. And that store is Hastings. Hastings is kind of an entertainment store. It's probably my favorite store ever, and it's going out of business. So naturally I had to take advantage of their sales. Naturally, that meant I bought a few more books than I needed, but we'll get to those later on in the book haul. The first 4 books I have to show you I actually got at Barnes & Noble. The first one is A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. Now, I have read this, but it was like back in 7th grade, I think, and I would really love to give it a reread, and I just thought this edition was so beautiful. And the edges of the pages are gold, and I just think it's so pretty. I think this is the Barnes & Noble Classics edition, and I just think it's so pretty, so I decided to go ahead and pick it up so that way I can give it a reread around Christmas time. And then the next 3 I also got at Barnes & Noble on a table that said buy 2 get the 3rd free, so I was like, cool. There were a lot of books on there that I've been wanting for a while, just hadn't been able to talk myself into picking up. And then, after I got home and looked at the receipt, I saw that they didn't actually give me the 3rd book free, but it was a 30-minute drive and it was only $8, so I let it go. But I'm still mad that that happened. But anyway, the first one of those books is I Am Malala, the Girl Who Stood Up for Education and Was Shot by the Taliban. I have been wanting to read this book for a while. Another woman that is a friend of Malala's, she's a Shahid, actually came to my university back in the fall, I believe, and gave a speech. And ever since then I've been wanting to read this book, and I just haven't picked it up yet, and I finally have it. And I've been wanting to read more nonfiction, so I think I'm going to really enjoy this whenever I do eventually pick it up. The next book is Armada by Ernest Cline. Ernest Cline is the same guy who wrote Ready Player One, which is a book that I read earlier this year and really enjoyed. And so I wanted to give his other book a try, and I think it's supposed to be very different from Ready Player One, but I don't really know exactly what it's about. But after I got it, I did see that this one's kind of got a few mixed reviews, but I'm still very interested to see how I like it. I think it does have to do with gaming, but I think maybe it also has to do with like space or something. I'm not entirely sure, but I'm still very interested to pick this up at some point. And the last book from Barnes & Noble is Room by Emma Donoghue, and I'm not usually super crazy about movie versions of books, but I was supposed to get this free, so what can I say? Of course, a lot of you probably have heard of this because it was made into a movie that won, or at least was nominated for several Oscars, and I think the main actress, Brie Larson, actually won the Best Actress award at the Oscars. The book is from the perspective of 5-year-old Jack, and his entire world that he knows of he refers to as room. It's the room that he and his mother live in. His mother was actually kidnapped and has been held in this room for 7 years, and it kind of just takes off from there. I've been very interested to see this movie, but I want to read the book first, so I decided to pick it up. So back in July during the BOOKTUBE-a-thon, I got a book from their book depository page. The BOOKTUBE-a-thon has a book depository page, much like many booktubers, and if you buy a book from the book depository page for BOOKTUBE-a-thon, it kind of goes to help support the BOOKTUBE-a-thon, and since it's an event that I really care about, I wanted to show my support. And also they had a discount code, so I ended up getting this book for like $6 or so, and that is Attachments by Rainbow Rowell. I have really enjoyed Rainbow Rowell's young adult books, and so I've been wanting to pick up one of her adult books, and I really like the UK cover of this one. I think it's super cute. So it looks like this book takes place in 1999, and 2 female colleague friends are kind of emailing each other back and forth about their lives, and an IT guy who's in charge of reading the emails that come through a server or something ends up reading some of these and ends up falling for one of them. I think that's what this is about anyway. I'm very excited to pick this up because I've been wanting to read one of Rainbow Rowell's adult books for a long time. And yeah, I'm really excited about this one. The next book I have is 6 of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. This has been getting a lot of good reviews on BookTube, and I've been very interested to read it. And the reason I picked this up is because the second book in this duology comes out at the end of September, and Leigh Bardugo is actually going to be making a stop in Nashville on her book tour. So I wanted to go to that, but I haven't actually read any of her books, even though they're supposed to be really good. So I decided to pick up 6 of Crows, and if I like it, I might pick up the Grisha trilogy. But also this book is just so cool looking because the end pages are black, and I love the red on the spine on the naked hardback, and this book is just really, really pretty. I'm very curious to read it. I have been told that you don't have to have read the Grisham trilogy in order to read this, but it does take place in the same universe that those books do, and I believe this book is about a heist, so I'm very curious to pick this up next month. And then, like I was talking about at the beginning of the video, Hastings closed down, which is probably my favorite store, and so I got 4 books from Hastings that were relatively cheap. There was only one that was over $10, and I think I got the rest of them for like $3. The first one of those is Much Ado About Nothing by William Shakespeare. I actually really like Shakespeare plays, and I want to start reading more of the ones that I haven't read yet, and this is one that I have not read yet. And I really like these editions because sometimes Shakespeare can be kind of hard to understand, but the thing I like about these editions is on the left side there's kind of like a loose translation to help you understand what's on the page before it, which is the actual play. So if there's something you don't understand, you can look over to the left side and maybe it'll help you understand it, which I think is really cool. So I've been wanting to read this one for a while, so I'm excited to have my hands on it. The next book is another one that I got for $3, and that is Uganda Be Killing Me by Chelsea Handler. I think Chelsea is really funny. I used to watch her late night show a lot. I haven't read any of her books before, but since this was $3, I thought it would be a good time to pick it up. And like I said earlier, I want to start reading more nonfiction, and comedy books are especially good nonfiction books, so I thought I would pick this up and give it a try. And I believe it follows a trip that she takes to Uganda, and it's like different absurd stories from a safari trip that she took, and I think that it's gonna be a fun read. The next book is Americana by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, and this is the only book that was a little more expensive. I think I paid around $10 for this one, maybe $11. I read We Should All Be Feminists by this author during BOOKTUBE-a-thon and really enjoyed it, and I've been wanting to pick up some of her other books, and I've heard really good things about this one, so I decided to pick it up. I don't know a whole lot about what it is about, but one thing that I have noticed is I don't have a lot of books written by authors that are of color on my bookshelves, and that's something that I want to try and get better about doing, and reading more diverse books, both in the main character's diversity and the author's diversity, and I thought that this would be a good one to do that with. So if you have any other suggestions for books like that, leave them in the comments below. But yeah, I'm really excited to get to this one. I think my first college roommate had to read this for a class because it looks very familiar to me. Yeah, I think she really liked it, so I'm really looking forward to picking it up. It feels really cool. The texture on the cover is just really cool. And the last book I got in Hastings is The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. This is a book that I have seen a lot on BookTube, and it is an adult book, I believe. And it has to do with reading minds, so that sounds really interesting. It's a bit chunky, but I'm still really looking forward to getting into it. And I mean, if you see a book that you've been wanting to read for $3, you buy the book. And the last 2 books in this book are actually books I got from Goodwill. The first one of those is Hamlet by William Shakespeare, and this is the No Fear Shakespeare edition, so kind of like the other Shakespeare play I showed you, it kind of has a more modern translation on one side and then the original play on the other to kind of help understand it better. I read Hamlet in high school. I remember really liking it, and I wanted to own a copy of it because I didn't have a copy of it, and so I decided to pick this up. And the last book for this month's book haul is The Girl Who Played with Fire by Stieg Larsson. This is the second book in the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo series. What is that called? The Millennium Trilogy. That's what it's called. And the reason I picked this up is because I own all 3 books. I've read all 3 books, but the second book I had in the mass market paperback version, and so it looked really kind of awkward on my shelf because the first book was this tall, and then the second one was shorter, and then the third one was this height again. So I found this book that is the same height as the first and third one, and it just looks a lot better on my shelves. And this is in really good shape, and it was $2, so I'm a lot happier. And also, since it's taller and less wide, it kind of saves a little bit of space on my bookshelves, which made me really happy too. So yeah. So these are all of the books that I got in August. Let me know down in the comments if you've read any of these books and what you thought about them, and I will see you next time with another video. Bye!